Association of Georgia. Jonathan and I are happy to be here. So we wanted to talk about the use of technology in our DEI program over the last 12 months. A little bit about Cadence. Let me just get my screen together here. So when I prepared these slides, we had announced our merger with Bancorp South, headquartered in Tupelo, Mississippi. That legal merger took place this past Friday. So the information we're going to share today is legacy Cadence. And we were 19 billion in assets, had around 99 branches across 6 states, and had 1,800 teammates. So with the merger taking place on Friday, we are now at 48 billion in assets, 27 billion in loans, 41 billion in deposits, and over 6,600 teammates, with more than 420 locations across the South, Midwest, and Texas. Oh, sorry, getting ahead of myself here. So our vision is do right, own it, embrace we, and fresh thinking welcome here. And our DEI strategy follows those same mission and visions. So today I want to talk about our program, the impact we've been able to make with the use of technology. And then our CISO, Jonathan Hay, who is here today, will talk about what he's seeing in the cyberspace industry and our partnership together to make change in the technology world. So we're all familiar with the business case for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Company performance is improved by 85%, increasing revenue up to 9%, driving innovation, its impact on recruiting, reducing turnover, and improving team dynamics. Like companies in 2020, during the murder of George Floyd, we too held up a mirror and said, are we doing enough? What could we be doing differently? And two important components of that are people and technology. Not to mention, we were also in COVID. So let me talk a little bit about our structure of our DEI program. We currently have 3 components to our subcommittees to our program. There are up to 53 diverse individuals at all levels of the company and across our footprint who participate on these 3 subcommittees. The first, Thriving Talent. This team focuses on the value and experience we bring to our prospective candidates and through the life cycle of employment. So from finding the job or a job posting on a website to employee onboarding and on through mentorship, sponsorship, benefits, career development, and opportunities for advancement. That's what this team focuses on. The second subcommittee, Embrace We, ensures that our employees have a sense of belonging and that where our culture is inclusive. This subcommittee supports the development of affinity groups, which we are to roll out next year, and all the educational resources for continuous training of our employees. And then last, our Visible Value Subcommittee really focuses on our commitment to the communities we serve. They are our commitment in action. They ensure we are supporting women-owned and minority-owned businesses in an impactful way that addresses the entire ecosystem of growth through the use of our services, financial education, development of products, and continued outreach as well. So in late 2020, we hired KPMG to undertake a full DEI assessment of our company to gauge how we were doing in the DEI space. It was comprised of a 3-part survey. First, a stakeholder one-on-one interview with each of our C-suite members. Then a 28-point survey for our employees so that their voices surely could be heard. And then third, we used focus groups to delve deeper into what we were hearing, the trends we were hearing in the survey, as well as what the stakeholder interviews had to say. From that, we came away with a 3-part strategy to get into best practice. Again, all of this would need to happen during COVID, and we would need to ensure we had the technology available to execute, mostly in a remote environment. Sorry, guys. I'm used to Zoom, so please forgive me for going so fast on these slides. The important part of the assessment for us was how would we baseline, track our progress over time to ensure that we went beyond a check the box or performative program. We chose the Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion benchmarks. That provides a 14 category focus and best practice. And we use the same model to measure in the interim. So another reason we chose this model is it fit our structure for the DEI Council, which I explained earlier, the three-part subcommittee. And it offered a way for us to focus accountability for each of the core components driving the strategy, including the diversity office. And so if you look at the 14 points here, if you just think about any of these on the page, each one of these would require us to use some form of technology to track, improve, or implement that change. So let's talk a little bit about the technology we've used. Again, mostly in place, some new or enhanced to execute. And this is just a visual of some of our key technology we've leveraged during COVID and today. So I want to highlight just a couple of these. One of the subcommittees I talked about earlier, Visible Value, that focuses on community and is our commitment in action, also includes supplier diversity. So CVM was implemented and rolled out for our supplier diversity program this past summer. This is mostly web-based, but we would use the downloaded metrics each month into Power BI as part of our quarterly reporting to our executive management team and to track our progress of diverse suppliers. And again, Power BI is used to create our scorecards, to track all of our DEI metrics. And so that was new to some of, especially to the DEI group. Of course, we're all familiar with Zoom, but holding meetings with our council, training presentations to different groups while no one could meet or no one was really in the office in person, it was required on a transformation like this. And we can't say enough about Zoom. Percipio was already in place as our learning management system, and we wanted to add a new diversity training program for all of our employees. Fortunately for us, Percipio had great content of a three-part learning platform that we implemented across the bank, where all of our employees will take that training before 12/31 of this year. And finally, Social Cores. Social Cores was already in place. We use it as a platform to communicate to our employees internally. We'll talk about how we use this to stay connected, if you will, and to inform all of our employees about our progress in DEI and more opportunities for involvement by our teammates through that channel. So let's look at some of the ways that we use this technology. We were able to advance the program almost seamlessly during this time. The first three, 1, 2, and 3, DEI educational content, as I mentioned, we did that through Percipio. We have a program called Lift Every Voice, and this is where our employees are able to record their personal story and share it to others via our platform. And it has been very popular as people get to know new employees, or again, we were during COVID, so seeing your friends or other folks that you've worked with for many years and just getting to know them better. And then lastly, courageous conversations. Courageous conversations are what we use to support Cultural Heritage Month. So if we are having a guest speaker or sometimes panel discussions with employees who may identify in that particular group, we call these courageous conversations. Those two were recorded via Zoom and then shared out over Social Cores, which we internally refer to as Intune. All of these items in our first year were huge for us. We had not done them before, but it was a great partnership between technology and our marketing groups to really get the messaging out. So we provided over 80 articles of content, sponsored 15 Lift Every Voice episodes. We've held so far this year 6 courageous conversations, with our 7th one scheduled for Veterans Day. And it really helps to strengthen our awareness, bring empathy and compassion for the people we work with every day. So number 4 here, as I mentioned earlier, CDM was implemented to roll out our more robust supplier diversity program. And number 5, we announced a merger earlier that I spoke of earlier. And so DEI is not competitive work. So we have been working with Bancorp South to merge both of our programs since the announcement in spring. Then 6 and 7, the introduction of DEI training. Again, through our LMS Percipio program, we were able to roll that out. Again, 3-part training on building awareness, from awareness to action, and finally leading inclusively with intention. We've gotten great feedback from our staff on that training. And number 8, as we have stated before, our aim is to have a program led with intentionality. We formalized a charter that covers our diversity office and our council, and our charter is our guide to ensure this mission is in alignment with, again, those core values and the stated business objectives. And lastly, on this page, I'll touch on number 9 and 10. They're ongoing. We continue to listen to our employees, but we have to have ways to gather that data, and sometimes in a third-party way. But we rely on our technology group to help us with really gathering some confidential data and making sure that we're creating a strategy from that. Both items are important, 9 and 10, to make sure meaningful and impactful changes are occurring with our employees and within our communities. And then next year, we are already actually exploring technology to help with our volunteer programs. How can our employees get more involved in opportunities for volunteering with the community organizations that we are associated with? And how can we get more involved in programs that are important to our employees? And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan. But before I do that, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing for the end of the year. So continuing our courageous conversations, obviously I spoke about that earlier. We're combining the 2 banks' DEI councils, which, as you can imagine, that will mostly be remote. And then really formalizing a strategy around HBCUs. And so historically Black colleges and universities. We are located mostly throughout the Southeast, and there are 14 plus historically Black colleges and universities in our footprint. So how do we use technology and in partnership with the United Negro College Fund to reach all of those schools for programs to ensure that we have a rich pipeline in banking as we move forward? And again, the ERGs are important. That requires a program to run that software. Software to run that program. And then lastly, we've been reviewing mentorship, sponsorship software that will allow us to have a successful program there with a focus on career development. So many things from the 3-wave strategy, and of course, some modified to fit a larger organization. We rely strongly on our technology partners to execute this successfully. But one of our currencies for Cadence is relationships. And it's what we're good at building relationships. So internally, the DEI group has had a strong relationship with technology. I may drive them crazy on most days, but we have a really good working relationship. And part of that relationship is making sure DEI is embedded in technology as much as technology is embedded in DEI. An important part of that is working together to ensure we have a diverse staff and ways we can improve that diversity. And there are, of course, things we could not address with technology, trying to better understand why women are leaving the workforce in large numbers. And now the Great Resignation. How do we turn that into a better retention number and find ways to make our company an even greater place to work? That involves psychological safety, flexibility, development, a sense of belonging, and those things remain our focus in 2022. Our CIO and our chairman are committed to it. And so now our CISO, Jonathan Hay, and I have spent many hours talking about strategies, partnerships, how to make the technology world more diverse. And it's an important part of stakeholder partnerships for our success. And I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, who is our Chief Information Security Officer, and he'll talk more about what he's seen in the technical space and how we are working together to partner beyond the technology at Cadence. Jonathan?
Thank you, Myra. As you have seen, Cadence Bank has invested in many different technologies that enable a productive and engaged remote workforce. Without talented individuals in technology operations, we wouldn't be able to support business initiatives like DEI, but with the current labor force challenges, this is getting harder to find, attract, and retain talent in the overall market. I wanted to highlight some of the labor force issues we are currently facing, specifically in the realm of cybersecurity. As you can see in the infographic, there is a significant shortage of cybersecurity professionals to meet the overall market demand. With new government and private sector commitments to create more cybersecurity positions to help combat the ever-growing cyber threats, this demand is expected to increase exponentially over the coming years as more positions are created for cybersecurity professionals, but not enough labor market to support those investments. Not only are we faced with significant labor shortages, but we also see vastly underrepresented groups in cybersecurity, as well as significant gender inequality. As you know, good leaders understand the importance of building diverse teams, but these current labor challenges make it incredibly difficult to do so. Next slide, Myra. In addition to these labor force challenges and demand for cybersecurity professionals, we're also faced with challenges to foster next generations of cybersecurity professionals. Younger generations, especially Gen Z, they do not view cybersecurity professionals in a favorable manner as older generations. There are many factors contributing to this overall perception issue, but the primary driver is lack of awareness of cybersecurity as a viable career option at these educational institutions. As you can see there, over three quarters of the respondents stated that cybersecurity was never even offered as part of their available school curriculum at their educational institution. These perception problems in combination with lack of educational offerings is a foundational failure that we must address for our younger generations to be able to bridge the talent and diversity gap that we have, not only in cybersecurity, but also in technology. And this also will help create career opportunities for these underrepresented groups, to be able for them to have a successful professional career path that they believe would be a viable option for them. Next slide, please. So in partnership with Myra, we're attempting to solve some of these challenges of our own by providing opportunities for our younger generations here within our geographic footprint. This past year, we have sponsored 2 scholarship programs with the University of Alabama at Birmingham as part of their overall Computer Science Diversity and Inclusion Scholarship Program to provide educational opportunities to 2 underrepresented students. We're also part of a local community college, Computer Science Advisory Board, to help influence and promote DEI initiatives, and also to ensure that there are promoting and partnering with local high school programs to help bridge the inequality and gender gaps. As you know, if we can get educational programs to start promoting programs and partnerships with local high schools, we have a better opportunity to capture students at an early age and show underrepresented groups these are viable and rewarding career paths. I hope this provided some useful insights into our technology DEI partnership initiatives we have here at Cadence. And with that, I'll turn it over to Myra for any Q&A that might have popped up.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions, we're happy to take them in the chat, or if you can come off mute, I think you can also chat that way. I'm just going to look here to see if I see any questions in the chat. And I don't at the moment, Jonathan. Just look at one other place here. Nope, I'm not seeing any questions now. I know our moderator is not here today, so we can wait just a couple minutes and see if we don't get any questions here, or we can move into back into the live session main stage. So with that, we appreciate everybody attending today. We hope that we have told you a little bit about how we are progressing in our journey, how the use of technology is important to that. and the importance of a DEI program at Cadence Bank. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.